Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of WordPress plugin development. Today we will learn how to create shortcodes in WordPress. If you guys missed the previous videos of this tutorial series, then please check out the suggested videos in the upper right corner of your screen. And if you are new to this channel, please do subscribe and hit the bell icon to get the latest videos on time. So let's begin. So before the video, let's review our agenda. In this video, what we are going to learn is how to create a basic shortcode, how to create a self-closing shortcode, how to create an enclosing shortcode, how to create a nested shortcode, how to add custom attributes within a shortcode, how to create dynamic shortcode, meaning how you can fetch the WordPress post types or the pages, and finally how to use PHP buffering within the shortcodes. Alright, now what is a shortcode exactly? Well, it is some kind of code that allows you to add certain things in anywhere in the themes or plugins. It is indeed a powerful thing that WordPress ever comes up with. It is really a simple presentation of deploying some larger code block by a simple text surrounding with square braces. Now the next question is where you can use a shortcode. To be honest, you are free to use a shortcode anywhere in the WordPress themes or plugins. You can use shortcode by default in the WordPress editor. You can use it in the WordPress widgets or any other third-party page builders as well. Now let's create some of them. So let's go into the inc folder and create another folder named it shortcodes. And inside the shortcodes, let's create a file named shortcodes.php as well. Alright, let's open it and open the PHP tag. And now let's create our very own first shortcode. So let's create hello WordPress shortcode. Now we need a function, and let's say my plugin hello WP shortcode. Now from here, let's return a text. Let's say hello WordPress. And now what we need to use this function with a special function that WordPress provides us in order to create a shortcode, and the function name is add shortcode. Alright, now it takes two parameters. The first one is the tag name for your shortcode that you are gonna create. So let's name it hello WP, and the next parameter is the function name. So this is basically it in order to just print the hello WordPress by using hello WP shortcode. But before that, we need to include this file into our myplugin.php. So let's do that. Include shortcodes, quicker ones, myplugin, inc shortcodes.php, and I think we are ready to use this hello WP shortcode. So let's head over into the backend and let's create a page. Oops, we do have an error. It's saying okay, let's head over into the backend and let's find that out. Okay, we misspelled it. Should be shortcodes. Okay, now let's hit refresh. Let's create a page named it test shortcode, And here we can just use the third braces and provide our shortcode tag here, hello WP, and let's publish the page. As you can see, the page has been published, so let's click on view. As you can see, the hello WordPress text has been printed out. So this is how you can create a basic shortcode that's gonna print some text from your code. Now let's go one step further. We can actually give users the ability to add some more things to the shortcodes. We can also allow users to add some attributes. In order to do that, we need to add a parameter to the function. So let's head over into the code editor and let's add a parameter and named it edts. Now let's modify our code a bit. So let's create an option variable, and here we are gonna use a PHP function and the name is extract, and inside the extract function we are gonna use a WordPress function. The name of that function is shortcode edts. And it is going to take two parameters. Actually, the first one is an array and the second one is the edts. That's a parameter that we have just provided. And inside the array, what we can pass the custom attributes that's gonna add up with the shortcode main tag. So let's create one. Let's name it message and let's keep it blank. Now let me explain a bit that what I have done here. So let's start with the shortcode edts. Let's head over into the browser and search for it, and let's go into the first search result. And as you can see, what it is saying, combine user attributes with known attributes and fill in defaults when needed. And it does have two required parameters and another one is optional. We're not gonna need that. The first one is the pair. It is an array and it is required the entire list of supported attributes and their defaults. Now what does it mean? That you can provide the supported attributes and also you can assign the default values as well. And the next one is the edts, that's the user defined attributes in the shortcode tags that user gonna use. And the next one that I'm gonna explain to you is the extract. Now it is an PHP function, not the WordPress function. It's a PHP raw function. So what it does actually, but before that let's also search for that as well. And let's go into the PHP manual. What it says, import variables into the current symbol table from an array. Now what does it mean actually? So let's head over into the code editor. As you can see, we have used the message and we can assign the value here. Let's say hello world. Now what extract will do, it will add this world value into the message and it's gonna allow us to use this message as a variable. So what we can do here, we can concatenate the message and it's gonna hold the value as world. So if you go back to the backend and hit refresh, and as you can see, it is saying hello world. Now let's modify our code a bit. Let's return within the double quotation. Let's say hello, and what it will allow us to do, it will give us the opportunity to interpolate our variable like this. So within the double curly braces, we can interpolate our variable as well. So let's go back and check the output. It should remain same as it is, so it is working nicely. Now what you can do, Now this time user will have the opportunity to use the message as a custom attribute and assign his own values as well. So let's head over into the backend and let's modify our shortcode. Let's say universe. So it should echo up the hello universe. So let's hit refresh. As you can see, it is saying hello universe. So this is how you can give the opportunity to the user to add the custom attributes and the custom value as well. Now let's head over into the next step. Well, shortcode has actually two types. The number one is self-closing shortcode and the second one is enclosing shortcode. Now so far that we have seen, all are the example of the self-closing shortcode. Now let's focus on the enclosing shortcode. Now if I just comment out you and let's write a enclosing shortcode, it should look like shortcode, and inside here you can provide the content and then you can close the shortcode as well, just like the HTML tag. So how we can create that? Well, let's dive into it. Let's create another function or another shortcode in order to show the example of enclosing shortcode. So let's create a heading shortcode and let's create a function here and say my plugin, let's say h1. Okay, we want to create a shortcode that's gonna print a title with h1 tag. So what we need to pass two parameters. One is attts and another is content, and by default it should be null. And here let's return some HTML and let's concatenate with h1 tag. Let's provide the h1 here, and inside this we gonna pass the content. And as before, we are gonna use add shortcode method. It's gonna take the parameter. Let's provide the shortcode tag as h_1, and the next one is the function name actually. So let's remove all of those. Alright, now how we gonna use it? Let's go back to the back end and into the page, and actually Gutenberg has a widget that is shortcode. As you can see here, we can click that and let's do that like h_1 and let's close that just like the HTML tag, and we can say here like this is heading with h1 tag. So if you can update it and hit refresh here, okay, it is not showing anything. That is because we haven't returned the HTML. So return the variable. So return HTML. So it should return the HTML within the h1 tag. So as you can see, obviously you can see that it is inside a h1 tag. So there is the justification. So this is the enclosing tag that's gonna behave like an HTML tag, but it is your custom tag. So inside that you can use content and you can provide the custom content here, and that's gonna wrap up with your tag or whatever you provide. It's gonna wrap up inside that part and you can provide your custom content there. So this is how we can create the self-closing shortcode. Now let's combine the both of the opportunities that we have. So let's create the options here, and let's say what we are planning to do is we also add a custom class into the h1 tag. So let's create the options extract as before, and it's gonna take shortcode ATTS, and it will take two parameters. The first one is array and the second one is the ATTS. So here let's say we're gonna provide a class, and the class name, let's say custom title. And what we can do now, we can just say like class equal to, and we can interpolate or concatenate the variable like this, because we assigned it as class, and extract will combine this value within this class text, and we can use as a variable later. So let's check that out. So now what the expected output should be, printing the content, the custom content, whatever user provided, and he can also provide the custom class as well. If not, then the custom title class will be added. So let's head over into the backend, and let's hit refresh first, and if we inspect it, and as you can see, the custom class by default it is added, but you can modify it. So let's head over into the backend, and inside the WordPress shortcode tag we can say class equal to, let's say, new class, and let's hit update. It is updated. So let's hit refresh. Nothing gonna change, but as we know that our class should be changed. As you can see, the class has been changed, the HTML class has been changed, it is new class now. So this is how we can use the both combination and create a very powerful shortcode that what user can use and do their things. Now what if we can combine both the shortcodes together and give the user some more power? What if we can print the hello world or hello universe in our custom h1 shortcode tag? That means we want a shortcode within the shortcode. So can we do that? The answer is yes, we can do that. So let's see how. So let's move on to the code editor and do some adjustment. Now what we want to do here, we want to print a shortcode within the shortcode. So WordPress does have a function to echoing out the shortcode, so let's use that. So what we need to do in order to just printing the content, we just need to use that function. The function name is do shortcode, and then within the shortcode we just need to provide the content. So that means whatever the content it is gonna do the WordPress things with the do shortcode. So if it is content, then it gonna print as a content, but if it is a shortcode, then it's gonna run as a shortcode. So let's head over into the backend, and this time in the place of content we are gonna use this hello WP. So let's go back to the backend, and here what you can do, inside the h1 wrap we can pass the hello WP. So then let's update and back to the page and hit refresh, and as you can see, the hello world has been printed within the h1 tag. Now we can also pass the parameter as well. this shortcode will behave as it is. So we can say like hello universe again, and it should print out within the h1 tag. As you can see, the normal one is like this, hello universe, and the actual one is hello universe within h1 tag. So this is how you can combine both the shortcodes and make the shortcodes more powerful. Now if you guys noticed so far, in order to echoing out the content, I have always used a variable, stored that the content into that variable, and finally we returned it, or I returned it, and it works well. But what if you want use the fresh HTML? I mean, you just do not want to import the HTML and stored in a PHP variable and then return the variable. You want to write the plain HTML inside the PHP, as we always do. So what will be the problem there? Let me show you first. Let's say we do not want it like this, okay, and we do not want to return it as well like this. What we want open and close and open the PHP again, and we try to echo it like this, and inside we want like this kind of PHP tag and echo like, let's say, to shortcode as before, and we want to pass the content here. Now what if we want to do like this? We want the direct HTML to output. So let's see what happens into the backend. So if we refresh it, as you can see, the value is printing okay into the front end. But what if we refresh it? Just reload, and if we see, it is printing out here. Now why is that? As you can see, it is printing out here, and if you try to change something and try to update, it will say update failed, error message, the response is not a valid JSON response. Now why is that happening? Because you are printing it out too early. Now how you can stop that? How you can make it behave like normal, and you want to output the raw HTML like this. So in order to do that, what you need to use the PHP buffering technique. Now what is PHP buffering technique? It is a technique that if you use that PHP buffering, it's not gonna print your content immediately. It's gonna take it into the memory and wait for you to return it manually. So how you can do that? So in order to use PHP buffering, what we need a blank variable first. Let's keep it like this, and then we need to use the PHP buffering function, and we need to start the buffering. For that we have a function, PHP function, it is not WordPress function, ob start. And then what we need after the content, the actual content that we want to echo, here what we need to use that variable and then call the ob get contents. Now what this function will do, into the buffering session, it's gonna take your content and store it into your variable. This time it is return HTML, and then we want to clean the buffering. So the function we wanna use is ob end clean, and finally we need to return it. We must return something. Return the return HTML. So let's recap what we have done. We initialized a blank variable, then we start the buffering, we do our stubs, we echoing out our plain HTML, Then we get the buffering content from the memory and stored it in our variable. We clean the buffer and finally we returned it. So let's see into the backend now. So let's this time hit refresh. As you can remember, in the previous time we refreshed, we saw some content and we are unable to update it as well. So this time let's hit refresh. Let's reload, and as you can see, this time it is not echoing out. So let's click on restart backup. Okay, see, I'm again refreshing. It is not echoing out into the backend editor. Now if we just change and update, it also gonna let us update. So nothing wrong here. Now let's head over into the front end, and it is also printing as well. So this is how, if you want to print out the raw HTML, you can do that, but you need to use the PHP buffering technique. So now let's move on into some more advanced stuff. Let's say this time we want to fetch some content or fetch some data from the WordPress. Let's say we want to fetch the WordPress default posts and want to show in a page. So how we can do that? So let's start creating get WordPress post data with a shortcode. So let's create a function. Let's name it my plugin get post shortcode, and let's add this function with the add shortcode function. And let's say my plugin WP posts, and then provide the function. It is always good to prefix everything with your plugin prefix so that it stays unique and it will not conflict with the others, because the plugin prefix should be unique always. So let's create an arguments here, and let's say we just want the post type to be post, and let's say the post status, this should be published. Okay, now let's define a variable and call our WP query class, and inside that we are going to pass our argument. And what we'll do, it will store the return data or objects into the WP query class. So let's check if the query has the posts, only then we want to proceed. Then let's say for each query posts as post, we want to loop it through. So let's declare a variable first. As before, return HTML. Let's say it is blank, and now we just want to show the title, so return HTML dot equal. Now it what it does, dot equal to, it is actually it continues the variable from where it began. So return HTML at the initial stage it was blank, and then we are continuing to adding the data into the return HTML within the for each loop. So let's provide a DOM here. Let's not the H2, it will be much bigger. Let's use H4, and inside that let's concatenate our post title. Now we can access the post title like this if we use the object notation from there, and this will store the post title from the loop. And finally what we want to return the HTML variable, return HTML. All right, So just to recap what we have done here, we just define the arguments that we want the post and status should be post published, and we run the WP query class, and we define a blank HTML variable in where we are gonna store all the data. We check the WP query post, not checked actually, it should be not empty. If it is not empty, then we are gonna run the for each loop, and we are iterate every posts, and we are storing the data into the return HTML, and finally we just return the DOM. So now we can use my plugin WP posts as a shortcode in order to get the WordPress posts. So let's click on the test shortcode page, and here let's take a shortcode widget and into the square braces let's put my plugin WP posts. So now let's hit update, and the page has been updated. So let's view the page, and as you can see, we are seeing two titles, another post and a hello world. Now where it comes from, if you go to the posts, and there it is, we just have two posts and it is fetching from there. Now let's try to give a user a little bit more power upon your shortcode. Let's say we want to user to control how many posts he or she want to publish. So how we can do that? We can add some extra attributes with it, as we have shown before. We can pass an ATTS, and we can define options here with extract class as before, and it's gonna take the shortcode ATTS and it's gonna take an array, and you can pass the parameter here. So here what we'll do, we will say per page, and let's say the default value it's 10. So this is how we can add a custom attribute for the shortcode. Now we need to make it dynamic in order to use the user, in order to make the user use it. So what we can do here, we can say posts per page, and we can define the per page variable here. So now it will be dynamic. If user doesn't provide any value, it will be by default 10. We can use the integer value here. Otherwise user can provide any kind of value. So by this, let's check out the output first. If we hit refresh, it's gonna stay same. But what we can do now, we can say per page equal to, let's say 1, and update, and if we hit refresh, we should see just one post. So this is how we can give the user more control over your shortcode. So now let's use the PHP buffering technique to output the same thing. So let's head over into the code editor and keep this code as for the reference, and just duplicate the function. Okay, I think let's copy the function again, paste it here, and just change the shortcode, let's say with buffer. And then copy the function name here, replace it here, my plugin posts, just say buffer, my plugin buffer WP posts. Alright, so what we want not to print these things like this. We just want to add the plain HTML, and inside that we want to inject the PHP code. Sorry, not like this. Let's say h4, and say h4, and echo the title here. We can say echo post title, and let's define the variable. It is already defined, return HTML. Now let's start the buffering here within the for each loop. So let's say ob start, and after the content has been printed out, let's contain the content into the return HTML like this, and use ob get contents. And finally we want to clean the buffering, so ob end clean. And finally we are returning the return HTML, so it should perform the same way that we have done previously. So let's head over into the backend and let's try to use our shortcode here. So let's click on it, or just let's change this shortcode. So wp, I think our shortcode name is my plugin buffer wp post. So let's put it here and try to update. As you can see, there is no error as before, and if we hit refresh, we should see the two titles here. One is another post, another is the hello world. So this is how you can use buffering technique in order to use the raw HTML and output our PHP code like this. Now you might wonder that why I'm using like this, like post, then it's an object, then I'm using the object properties like post title. Why we are not using the conventional WordPress functions like get the title or get the content? You can actually use it, if we just remove this one, and if we say get echo get the title, and if we just provide the ID, it will also work. So let's hit refresh. As you can see, it is working well. If we update it, there's no error. So you can also use this kind of conventional functions as well. And if you want that why you are using the for each like this, we want to use the while loop that WordPress gives us, you can also actually use that. So if we change it like while query have posts then we have the post, but we need to say like query the post, it will also work as same as before. So let's check that out. If we hit refresh, as you can see, the output is same, and even if we try to update, it stays same. If we refresh into the backend, it is also staying same. So these things will also work as well. So as I have tried to show you that you can use various ways to generate these shortcodes that you need. Now it depends on your choice and requirements. I try to cover it all so that you can feel comfortable to use it. That's all for this video. I hope you liked it. If you like it, then give a thumbs up and let me know through the comments how it is going. Until the next video, be safe and try to stay at home and keep praying. Thank you for watching.